Hello and welcome to There Will Be Dungeons, and I'm yelling in the mic again, right off the bat. Yeah, hello everyone, this is There Will Be Dungeons, a special episode. As you might have heard last week, Scott is out celebrating an anniversary, and Kyle and Kristen are at a wedding out of state. So it's just me and John, and we decided that we're going to put on our jerkins and our trousers and go adventuring. Hi, John.
Well, hey, Bo. Yeah, I'm ready to go. I have on my trouser jerkins.
Well, the jerkin is a shirt. It's like a medieval shirt.
It's not what I'm wearing. I didn't get them, but I'll see if I can change into fancy clothes in the break.
Perfect. Okay. Is it possible? I'm trying to turn the mic up here on your side. Do you have a?
Can I get louder?
Yeah,
is that what you want?
Yep.
You want me louder?
Yes, please.
Okay, let me see if I can mess with that.
You know, the stuff we're supposed to do before the show, but I decided to do 2 minutes in after we started recording.
I know we've been talking about audio all this time. It would have been, you know, potentially a good time to talk about it.
Scott Johnson is a consummate professional. It's like magic. I show up, I do my thing, I go, and he takes care of all the hard grunt work. And today, I'm doing the grunt work, and I'm bad at it. Like, I know what I need to do, but I'm constantly forgetting.
Is this too loud?
No, because it turned up louder, and then I can adjust it on my side. So
this is as loud as it gets.
Okay, you're good. You're golden. I like it.
Okay,
yeah,
great.
I want to hear you, John. So
I will project.
Yeah, just don't yell into the mic. People don't like.
No, Bo, I'm not a monster. If I needed to yell, I would look away from the microphone.
Yeah, of course, like you do. That's how it works. Okay, so we are doing an intimate session of D&D. What does that mean? Because Scott, Kyle, and Kristen are away. We saw no reason for the adventure to stop, and Scott at the end of last week's episode said he'd really love a John solo adventure. And I said, all right, challenge accepted. Now, I've never done, we do on the show have like moments of where it's just one, and with one individual, but I've never done a full-on session with a single player. So this is new for me. I think it's new for John. And so we may make mistakes. It might get awkward. It might be bad. We just don't know. I have no idea. So we're just going to have fun. And we hope you guys have fun too. So thank you for being here. We don't have any messages, and our recap person isn't here, so there'll be no recap. I think we're just going to get right into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, I can provide a bit of background. Oh, and there's no music coming up. It's incredible how much that's going to throw me. But we're going to do that. All right, so here we go, getting into it. Stanley Billings. At this current moment, you're dreaming. What are you dreaming about?
I would say that the thing that has been most prominent on my mind as of late has been a question of morality. So it is probably not good dreams.
And anything in specific that have you been having any recurring dreams, a common theme to your dream?
It would be dreams of
abstract
blood and violence, dreams of opportunities taken and regrets immediately found, dreams where the right thing feels wrong.
Okay, so okay, in the abstract, you're having dreams of this nature, and it's a fitful sleep. Oh, okay. So full disclosure, I forgot my dice and all this preparation. I had to go get my dice. All right, so you're having this fitful sleep, and something arouses you from your sleep. You hear a bump. You peer open your eyes. Where were you sleeping in the Fate 4? That night?
I think typically Stanley sleeps near the back, kind of propped up against the back of the Fate 4.
Okay. All right, so you were like leaning, like sitting L-shaped towards the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay, so you open your eyes and you You open them to darkness. It's still night out. And you see the form of Nash. He's standing, and looks like he's bumped himself on the wall, but it's hard to make out through the haze of just waking up. And he goes, "Ow! God damn it!"
Nash, what are you doing?
The form of Nash in his cloak doesn't respond and attempts to walk through the door again, but isn't opening the door that you would expect. Just walks into very gently, not gently, but just sort of forcibly, but not violently, walks into the door. Now, there's no light in the Fate 4, which you can see with your dark vision, and you sort of, you notice that there's no one else in the vehicle.
It's Nash bumping into the door.
Pardon me?
It's just Nash bumping into the door?
Yeah, Nash bumping into the door. As you begin to come to, you hear kind of a faint chanting. Ooh, ah, ah. I feel like I'm singing something, but I don't know what it is.
It always sounds like the Halo music to me. Last week and this week, it's just the theme to Halo.
Maybe it's even more Halo than it was last week. I don't know.
I like it. Nash, what are you doing?
Here,
Start to get up.
Come from him.
I'm gonna go over and shake him a little.
Okay. You go over and give him a shake, and he sort of violently, his arm like pats your hand, like knocks your hand away, and he goes, He attempts to walk into the door again.
Can I get a little more forceful and try to hold him back from the door and just say, Nash, what are you doing?
Okay. So you say, Nash, what are you doing? And he goes, none of your business. But he says it kind of mumbly, and then he tries to walk into the door again.
Is his eye open?
So you peer over his hood. His hood is over his face. So you sort of take a slick look and see that see his eye is open, but it's kind of something. It's staring out into space. Like it's not looking at the door. It's sort of staring ahead, as if past to a point outside beyond the Fate 4.
And if I try to hold him back from the door, is he just constantly pushing against my arm, or is he just knocking it away?
You tried to put your arm there, and he knocked it away.
I'm going to give him a little smack.
Okay.
Not crazy hard, but just like a jostle, just a slap to kind of get his attention. Where in
particular on the body are you jostling or smacking?
Back of my hand to his cheek.
Okay. Attack roll.
That is. Are we considering this an
unarmed strike? Yeah, and you could say it's for no damage. It's just,
It's a 7.
Mm-hmm. So as you go to make the attack, he his hand just brushes it away again, like seeing it almost preternaturally, just like it's like brushing it away like a mosquito as you try to slap him.
I mean, I'm now gonna be a little more forceful. I think I'm gonna try to smack at him again. I think I sense something isn't right. He's not reacting like a normal person. Something's still going on here.
Okay.
That'll be a 17 to hit.
Okay. Smack him in the same way?
This time will be back of the head. Just from behind. Just back.
Okay, so you smack him in the back of the head, and then the front of his head hits the side of the... You go smack, he goes bunk, and he hits like the front of his head on the wall. And he goes, ugh! And he still continues to attempt to exit the vehicle, but the door's closed. He's just kind of walking into it. Almost like he's sleepwalking.
And still no response, just keeps trying to get through.
Yeah.
Nash, I don't know what the hell is going on with you, but hopefully this is for your own good. I'm going to go back, make sure I have all my typical supplies that I carry with me when I go out. And I'm going to try to wrap the rope that I have around him and pull him back and restrain him.
Okay, you're going to wrap the rope around him.
I'm going to try and grapple him, and I'm going to try and get him down and tie him to something. I don't know. What do we have in the Fate 4 I could tie him?
Now you're grappling? Okay. It's fine. This is funny. I have to look up his character sheet.
He's by the door, right? So if he's by the door, yeah. I'm gonna try and restrain him and tie him to the workbench.
Okay. Sounds good. I'm just waiting for his character sheet to load. Or the character sheets load. Okay. So roll your strength check at least.
Man, Stanley's no good at this. That is going to be a 14.
A 14. Okay. There we go. I'm almost there. What? Oh, there's Nash. Sorry. It's coming in a second.
That's all right.
That's with your strength, your athletics modifier.
Oh, if it's with athletics added, then it's a 15.
Okay. Let's see. So he will use. Okay. Okay. So you grapple him easily. Grab onto him, and he begins to fight back, but it doesn't feel like the full of his strength is resisting you. It feels like, or he's way weaker than you imagined him to be, even though he's sort of a thinner person and sickly. He always struck you as athletic, and he always bragged about being quite athletic. Somehow you feel like he's not fighting back with the fullness of his strength, like, again, sort of in line with this theory that he's sleepwalking or something. But you grab hold of him. How do you grab hold of him?
Grab him around the arms and waist and kind of drag him back, kind of wrestle him to the ground from there.
Okay. So you have him on the ground. You're going to pin him to the ground?
Yeah. I mean, I figure I would go in with the rope already around, like go around him real quick like that and grab him and pull him down so that I can at least have an initial wrap around his body when I start to tie him to the workbench.
So you have him grappled, you're holding on to him, you have control, somewhat control of him. He can't, when you grapple somebody, they can actually still move and bring you with them, I think, but half movement speed when you're grappled. So in order to fully pin him, we'll have to do a second contest to get him to the ground.
Okay.
And we'll count this also as the check for you're going to tie him up, basically, or just...
Yeah.
Like, are you tying him up?
He's clearly got something going on.
Are you tying him up in such a way as that he couldn't untie himself, or are you just tying him somewhere where he could untie himself? You know, like around the waist?
Mean, the goal would be his arms would be pinned. Like, I want his arms pinned to his side, him sitting next to the workbench.
So you want to fully, restrain him, essentially.
Yeah. Okay. Like old cartoon style to the railroad tracks, but on
Gotcha. All right, so let's roll. Let's get another contest going.
10.
Okay, he's got a 2. So you're able to pin him down, and you start taking your rope and you run the rope around him, pinning the arms to his side. You have enough rope with 50 feet of rope to tie his legs and his arms, sort of like his chest, basically. And so you have him wrapped up in rope. Have you tied him to anything, or just tied him down? He's a person on the railroad tracks, lying on the ground, tied up.
Yeah, to the leg of the workbench.
Okay. Standing up then?
No, like sitting, like in a sitting position to the workbench. I don't want him to be uncomfortable. I just don't want him to go running out the door.
You have him tied up. You've got him tied to the workbench. You're still holding on to him at this point, but he's struggling. So the whole time that you're trying to tie him up, he's, his body's trying to fight back and push you away, and like you got like a hand in your face, and it's like pushing up here. He's like, "Ah, God, sit still, you little bastard!" And so after a solid 20 minutes of fighting with him, trying to get him restrained, you get him to a point where you feel he's comfortably secure.
Okay.
All right, so now he's tied to the workbench. If you let him go, he will try to escape, but you have to let him go to see if that happens.
So I'm gonna look at him. I'm gonna say, "Sorry about this, buddy, but I need to figure out what's going on before we let you go anywhere." And I'm gonna let go, get up, and move quickly out the door of the Fate Four and shut it behind me.
Okay, so he's gonna try and break free from the rope. As soon as you let go, he's like pulling against. He's like, "Oh, let me free, you little bastard!" Is what he's cussing and spitting, and he pulls himself against the ropes, and it just makes him tighter. But he's struggling. Like as you run out the door and close the door behind you, he's like trying to pull himself, trying to just will himself free with strength, basically. And it's
Okay.
and so after you close the door, you hear muffled inside like, "When I get out of these ropes, let me out." And yeah, so you exit into the desert air. It's much cooler out than you'd expected, and you hear now much louder the same chanting filling the air. And but you see no one in sight. Hope isn't on top of it. You look to your right, and you see the mound where Varel would usually make his nap in the ground is sort of broken open, and Varel's not in it. There's no sign of Buck, no sign of Tedna, no sign of Bubbles.
Buttons.
Buttons, excuse me. I keep calling them Bubbles as well as buttons. No sign of buttons.
Can I take a look to see if I see any sort of footprints or any indication of where the group may have gone?
Survival check, please.
10.
Okay, so after about 10 minutes of looking around just to see where you can see tracks, you do notice that there are foot tracks forming, like walking in a fairly, not in the same path, but are very close to each other, walking in the same direction. You're not sure what in the desert, what direction it is. Your best guess is it's southerly because you remember that side during the day was where the oil sands were. And there's a weird buzzing sound that comes from.
That's what I get for having my phone sitting on the desk. You have gotten very quiet, Bo. You have become hard to hear.
Oh no! Why is that?
And you're getting quieter. You're almost at 0 volume for me.
Oh no! Yeah, that's happened.
Now you are at 0 volume. Nope, got nothing. Nothing from you, Bo. Yeah, I can tell you're saying something, but
All right, testing, testing.
Hey, I can hear you again.
Good. Yeah, it's happened to me once before a long time ago. I don't know what it is. I wish I knew. So yeah, look. Oh, oops. It looks like it happened pretty far back. So you exit into the desert air. It's much cooler out than you'd expect. It's sort of broken. Yeah, no sign of buttons. This is how you are.
Can I take a look
I'm way
to see
louder. Yeah.
Where you can see track. It just happened for no reason. It's not like a dial turned or anything like that.
It's happening again, by the way, Bo.
Is it now?
Yep, you're super quiet now. Is there a Windows setting maybe messing with your audio levels?
I don't think so.
Because I know some of those things have auto.
Testing, testing.
I heard a click. I hear ambient noise.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, you're back. There you are.
Okay, so we're trying something a little different here. I'm using a different channel on my mixer. I'm going to see if that's not the problem. Sorry, everybody. I stopped the recording, though.
You're a little crunchy, but at least we can hear you.
Oh, I know why the crunchy. Hang on, that one.
All right, I think you're back.
Yep, I'm here.
All right. I think we got you. I
I
think it's
reduced the
working.
sample rate. We'll see if that helps.
Yeah, it sounds good now.
Not country. I'm back.
Yep.
Sorry. My audio driver's like, I think it's really old for my external sound card, and I think it's cooler out where Virality. I don't think. Can I save it? Maybe we take it from.
And I'm gonna let go.
So you exit into the desert. Yeah,
It seemed to start right as I went outside.
Weird. Okay. So yeah, thanks by the way, Spencer. I saw you message me on Discord too. Appreciate it. Yeah, that's a weird thing that happens to be like once a year, but maybe it's gonna happen. Hopefully, it's just fixed. All right. So let's take it from exiting into the desert air. You good with that?
Yep. Sounds
And I'm
good.
loud and clear. Chat room, I'm loud and clear. Okay.
I was hearing it too, so I would guess they're hearing roughly what I'm hearing, and you sound good to me.
Yeah, I think so what solved it so far is I just switched mixer channels. My mixer is a bit old. There's stuff about it that doesn't work great, so I think it's that. I need to get a new one. Okay, let's do this. All right, I'm
Recording restarted?
Yeah. Yep. Okay, here we go. So you exit out into the desert air. It's surprisingly cool out, and even louder, you can hear. Ooh, Hear this chanting over the desert air. It's quite uncanny and it's very clear, but quiet, like echoing as if the wind was carrying it to you. You see in front of you, there's the mound where Varel would be sleeping normally. It's broken open and no Varel inside. You quickly glance to the top of the Fate 4. You don't see Hope, who was supposed to be last, who you think was supposed to be last on shift. And no sign of Tedna, Bok, or Buttons.
Can I look around and see if I can find footprints or anything like that leading out into the desert as to what direction they might have gone?
Please make a survival roll.
It's 10.
Okay. You take a look around the environs, and after a few minutes, you see that there are footsteps matching, Varel's claw-shaped footprints, some boot prints that could only be Hope's, and smaller feet that either are cats or goblins, you're not quite sure. You see them all heading off in the same direction, which you believe to be southerly, because during the day you saw the oil sands, and your understanding from Varel is that was basically southwest. So they are headed off into that direction.
I'm going to follow them, but I do want to take, having learned a hard lesson recently, I want to take a moment to kind of survey the horizon, anything large that I can mark of direction, and make a note of that in case I get turned around and need to make my way back.
Okay, so you want to take a note of the direction, sorry?
Yeah, I want to take a note of, if there are any mountains or anything that I should be able to notice, even after I've traveled for a while, just to keep an idea of what direction I'm heading from so I know how to head back the way I came.
Okay. Unfortunately, the only thing that you can see is to the south. In the direction you're coming from, previously to the south was the range of mountains called the Dead Fingers.
Right.
So you can kind of make out still the range from the direction you came in, also towards the southwest of where you are. Apart from that, it is nothing but sand and wastes.
Okay. So I will make a note that the general direction of the Fate 4 is to put that stuff at my back if I wanted to head at least somewhat back towards the north, and I'll start following the footprints.
It would be to your... So it's going to be... It's on your left, facing south right now.
Okay.
So it would have to be on your right, facing north.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. It'll help you walk in the right direction. There is a concern that you could still easily get turned around and miss, depending how far you go. But all right, so so you've made a note of this?
Yes.
That's up to you. You've noted it. I don't know. Okay. The singing howls over the air.
All right, I'm gonna just follow the footsteps the best I can.
Okay. All right. So as you begin the walk south. You hear Nash from inside going like, "Oh, let me out!" as you walk away. But soon those sounds are drowned out by the singing. And after maybe only a few minutes of walking, you see a figure walking also south in the distance. The outline of a figure. Looks to you humanoid.
Going to try to move quietly and see if I can make out any details without having to get too close.
All right. So you want to walk quietly. You'd have to get closer to see more, but
okay.
Yeah.
Then I would want to approach with stealth.
Okay, let's make a stealth check.
15.
Okay, so as quietly as you're able, you walk towards it, and after a certain amount of time, it does become clear to you that this humanoid shape is walking in the same direction you are. It's not walking towards you, not standing still, but walking south as well. And it appears to be doing it at a fairly slow pace. So even though you've been stealthing, you're kind of, walking a little hurriedly to get the information and, secure whatever advantage you can by being faster. But this thing is not walking fast. In fact, it has a walk that resembles, the walk of the living dead that were in the Black Mine or someone sleepwalking. You see them kind of shambling, walking very slow pace. And as you get closer to it, I assume you continue to approach.
Yes.
As you quietly, as best as you can, quietly get closer to the shape, you recognize it as the figure of Tedna. It's a tuft of hair on the top, sort of skinny, was wearing his his canvas and khaki like assigned wear that they had given them at the camp, and boots. And his back is to you, and he's walking slowly south.
Knowing that I now recognize him, I will move faster to catch up, and perform due diligence, check and see if I can jostle him like I did with Nash, get anything from him.
Okay, so once you recognize him, you run up to him. It takes a good minute or two. You have to close a fair amount of distance, and as you do so, he takes no notice of you. Like, you might have kicked a little rock, and you're making a low amount of noise, but you make enough noise that is to not scare him, right? Right. And he doesn't turn around, and you sort of jog up in front of his face, and you see he's just standing there, and he's like, almost as if drunk. This look of bewilderment, but also a look of wonder in his eye. It's a very positive look, and he's looking into nothing really. You don't put a hand up in front of his eye. Doesn't react to you.
I'm gonna reach up next to his head and just do a loud slap.
Okay.
Not to him, but like clap of the hands next to his head.
Okay. It does nothing. You snap in front of him, and he as you snap in front of him, like he just continues walking towards it, and he bumps into your hand and just brushes past. I assume you're walking next to him.
Yeah, just keeping pace with him for right now. So I'm seeing behavior very similar to what I saw with Nash, except he couldn't get through the door.
Yeah.
Is there any sense that and I know we're kind of out in the open, but are there any obstacles that he's being able to navigate, or is it just mostly a straight walk? So
far it's just a straight walk. But you do notice that there are other tracks, fresh tracks. Varel's in particular are distinctive, also leading in that direction. And he's walking along in the same direction. But there's no obstacles, no rocks. It's all flat, all sand. The only distinguishable difference on the horizon is the oil sand, where the oil sand starts, which you can see, which he's walking towards.
And so in this situation, and I'm going to just say, the John behind Stanley is very suspicious of the singing. I think Stanley probably would figure that's out of place as well.
Yeah, clearly.
As sort of the oddity of this. So I'm going to try something here with Tedna. I'm going to use prestidigitation to make a different musical sound play in his ears. We'll just go with the sound of... we'll just go with a different melody.
Yeah, the sound. I thought you were going to name an artist. The sound of Elvis or something.
Yeah, it's just a little Elvis in his ears.
I ain't nothing but a hair dog. Working all the time. Okay, so how long does the song last, or the sound?
Faint musical notes. I can go for an hour, if sustained.
Faint musical notes?
Yeah, faint.
So it's not like wearing headphones.
I don't think so.
It's not noise canceling prestidigitation. And that's the effect you see that it has. You cast prestidigitation and make faint notes of music, and it doesn't cancel. It doesn't appear to have any effect on the very loud and very it's loud, but it's reverby and echoey. It's not like you're sitting next to a speaker, but it's just everywhere. You can't escape it, and you have no idea where it's coming from. It's just everywhere in the desert. And I know you appear, having moved south a little bit to be getting closer, you swear you start to make out words in it, but it's mainly just chanting. But you hear a word, Talrisha, in the singing. Talrisha.
Taurisha. Do I recognize that as a particular language or
Well, you think
anything?
it sounds a lot like a word that you might recognize as love, but it's not. You know, the pronunciation's not right. It's off, and it would have been an older version of the word. You know, like it is not a more current thing that people would say in Elvish, and so it's very weird. But you get a sense that you think you hear an Elvish word in the singing.
I'm going to try one more thing before I have to figure something else out. I am going to try to move in front of Tedna and clasp both my hands over his ears and see if it does anything.
All right, so you go to stand in front of him and clasp your hands on his ears.
Yeah.
Okay. So you go to make this move. You stand in front of him. You take a step in front of him. Take your hands, put them to the side, either side of his head, and cover his ears. And he just walks forward and runs you over. Can we make a dexterity check, dexterity save, please?
Sure. Well, that'll be fine. That's going to be a 22.
Okay, so he goes to like basically he just bumps into you, and you're like in danger of falling down and getting stepped on, but you gracefully flourish out of the way and take your cape around and be like, whoa. So you're gonna have to walk while you hold his ears. You've determined.
I'm going to recognize perhaps the futility of this effort, and especially because it's just Tedna. I'm going to continue following the footprints, even if it takes me forward past him, to see if I can get to anybody else along the way.
Okay. So you're jogging ahead now.
Yeah.
Okay. And as you begin to jog ahead, you hear a voice ring out over the desert, going, "Wait for me! Wait for me! Wait for me!" You recognize it as the voice of Bubbles, but you look around and you don't see buttons. But you look around and you don't see buttons.
Buttons, is that you?
He's like, "Yeah, I'm right. Oh, I'm sorry. And then and then boop, he just appears in front of you. He just appears into existence, and he says, "Oh no, I was here the whole time. I just I made myself invisible. Sorry to scare you."
Jesus, Chrome Buttons, what are you doing out here? Do you have any idea what's going on?
I have no idea, but it's fascinating. And he sort of flips open a book, and he's got a little quill, and he's like, it's so hard to write and walk around trying to dip your ink, and you can see like there's ink all over his fingers and like on his button nose, and he's got the book in one hand and he's got the quill in his hand, like the book leaning on his forearm, and he's got the quill, and he's like, and his glasses, he's always pushing them back up, and there's these little oil, like splats of oil where his nose are, where he keeps pushing his glasses back up. He's like, "This is absolutely fascinating."
I am more concerned than fascinated, Buttons. What is this? Why aren't you doing what they're doing? Why aren't I?
Well, at first, I think that I have this theory. Do you want to listen to my theory and help me test it to see if it sounds plausible?
Let's walk and talk, Buttons.
Yes, of course. And then a little splash comes out of his oil. his oil. What do they call it?
Inkwell.
Inkwell. His inkwell splashes on his hand. He goes, "Oh, darn it!" And then he walks along with you. His little metal legs sort of along with him, and he says, "I have this theory. You see, Mr. Stanley, that the music that you hear that singing."
Yes.
Well, that singing somehow has a potent magical effect, and it's making some of us walk south.
Well, that was my hypothesis as well, Buttons. But
good.
Why
So
are we not impacted by it?
Well, I have a few theories. So, at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm not a humanoid in the way that you guys are. So sometimes things that magic of the universe that tends to affect things with with I don't know, with 2 legs and 2 arms. They don't appear to affect me, and I'm not sure what that is. It might be because cats have 9 lives, so we're 9 times more powerful than the rest of you. But seriously, I don't know. In your case, that's interesting.
It is.
Is there anything you've noticed about the music that might give us a clue? I feel like there's words in the music, but I can't tell what any of it is.
I was able to make out some old forms of Elvish in there.
Oh, you speak Elvish?
Well, yes, I'm a half-elf, Buttons.
Oh, you're a half-elf? He's like, oh, I guess so. You look so human. You have such a human personality.
Thank you.
Your mom was a what was she? She was an elf, and your dad, or was it the other way around? Who was the elf?
No, my mother was a human. My father was an elf.
Oh, I didn't notice. I thought you were a human. You behave very much like a human. Now I'm
not sure if that's a compliment, Buttons, but
oh no, it certainly isn't. You need to act more like an elf. They're way cooler. But anyways, but it could be that whatever magic this is isn't affecting you because you're an elf.
Well,
I mean,
I suppose that makes as much sense as anything else going on out here.
Okay.
So, I guess that leaves us with only one option, is we need to find out what's the source of this. We're going to get our comrades back from it.
Okay, well, I'm afraid there probably isn't much that I can do to help, but I will come along and observe.
Well, I mean, you've been walking around this whole time invisible. That's something of a feat.
Well, that's just, to protect myself. I don't, you can't slay an ogre with invisibility.
Well, I should hope we don't run into any ogres, Buttons, but stick with me. I would be very welcoming to the company and to a potential ally should problems arise.
Okay. Well, I woke up kind of early, and honestly, I thought it was affecting everyone. I forgot that you were in there sleeping. I was so just in my head, and I wanted to, if you guys were to meet a horrible end, I wanted to make sure I at least documented it for the sake of rest of humanity. Maybe we could learn something about avoiding dangers in the desert. So I will come with you, and hopefully we can rescue your friends. That would be a good outcome, but I'm not very hopeful. This is quite unusual indeed. But let us go. So he pushes up his glasses again, gets more ink on his nose.
Buttons, we are going to have to be very cautious. We are going to have to be careful, and you dripping ink everywhere is not going to do that. I'm going to press to digitate his ink stains away.
He's like, oh, thank you. That is a great magical spell that you know. You'll have to teach me how to do that one. I could really use that. I find a lot of use for this thing.
It's quite useful, but haste, Buttons, haste.
Okay, and so Buttons looks down and says, I did happen to notice Hope wasn't at the camp when I woke up, but Varel made a lot of noise. In fact, see this one here? What's his name? This young lad here?
Oh, Tedna?
Yes. Tedna, he walks kind of slow, but Varel, he took off pretty fast. Now, I'm pretty sure he's under the same effects. He sort of had all the telltale signs, but... well, that lizard doesn't appear to do anything half-hearted. And he motored on out of the camp, and that's what woke me up. He just took off like a firecracker. Tedna had left after, and the little goblin scampered off after Varel. I don't know what's going on up ahead.
Did the goblin Bok seem under the same effect, or did he seem to be simply chasing Varel?
I couldn't tell in his case. He said fresh.
Well, he would do that no matter what, I would think. It's kind of the only word he knows.
Yeah, I couldn't tell. He was, Varel and him booked it pretty quick out of here, but this Tedna one is just walking pretty slow, and And I got a little nervous when Nash woke up, so I shut the door and left him in there.
He's currently tied up in the van. I felt if he couldn't easily get out, at the very least, we could keep him contained somewhat. That's one less person to worry about.
Well, that's a good idea. I'm glad you did that. Okay, well, let's get going. So you guys continue walking down. Buttons insists on writing notes and continues to write notes in the book, even though you've asked him not to. But he does so more quietly. Mm-hmm. You guys are quiet for the rest of the walk. So you walk about another 5 to 10 minutes, and you begin to make out the oil sand line where there's a change in the color of the earth. And Tedna is not too far behind you, even though you've made a jog. You can see him behind you. And you do start to make out another humanoid figure out in the muck of the oil sand. But this one's a large figure.
Does it seem human, or does it seem like it could be a lizard folk?
Let's roll survival, see what you can figure out.
10.
It's definitely a large frame. It's definitely, if things are as Bubble says, this is Varel. But Buttons says, frick! Buttons says it's definitely lizard folk. And what seals it up for you is you think you see a little humanoid standing next to it in the muck as well. Sort of up to about his waist in the muck. They both appear to be walking. They're pretty far out. They're, you would say, almost a kilometer out into the oil sands. And, as you begin to get closer to where the land transitions and begins to get mucky, and there begins to look like there's a thick liquid in the earth, you sort of slow up.
That seems like Varel and Bok up ahead. I'm very hesitant to allow these people to get where they're headed. Is there anything you are able to do to halt their ability to progress?
What do you mean? Like a magical spell?
Well, sure. You told me you were a practitioner of arcane arts, and Nash, for example, can make people fall asleep whenever he wants. Is there anything you can do to knock them out, to hold them in place, to make them sleep? I can't imagine we want them to get wherever it is they're going.
I'll be honest with you, I did bring a fair amount of spells to me in my spell book, but I've got to practice them a bit and have them ready. That being said, I don't think I even have any that would really fit that situation. My magic is pretty much like two disciplines, and one is for scholarly pursuits of learning, like to read languages and detect magic and to disarm traps and things of that nature, and also to bring heavy archaeological objects with me. The other one is for me to escape danger, which usually means I'm on my own. So I have tricks to escape, like my invisibility. I don't really have ways to knock out a big, lizard man. It's not really my discipline.
Fair enough. I figured it was worth at least checking. Can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually wish Nash was here.
Well, he's indisposed, maybe.
He is. We're not going to get any help out of him, so let's see if we can at least catch up to Varel and Bok up ahead.
Okay. So, you are moving out into the muck?
Yeah.
All right, so your foot goes in, and it's like up to your ankle in mud, and the ground slips a little, and it's difficult terrain, and your boot is now completely muddy. You take another step in, and it gets a little deeper and a little deeper till you're about knee height in the muddy oil.
Are the people up ahead, does it look like they're having to contend with this as well, or?
Yes. So, when you sort of peer off, you notice that, that way when you're walking in deep water, how you have to drag your leg and there's more effort, like that times 2 or 3. Like it looks like it's not deep enough that anyone's going to sink in there because they've walked out quite a bit, but it's going to be rough going from here on out through the muck.
All right.
Through the oil, rather. And you probably want to be careful He sort of enters into your head like you're not sure if oil like this is flammable or not. So you're like, it might be a little dangerous out here.
I will point that out to Buttons, as I don't know his familiarity with this, and I will say we should be very cautious not to mix fire and oil.
So Buttons stays at the shoreline. He says, I don't know if I can go through this. I am still a cat.
Well, Bok's just as tall as, or is he shorter than?
He's shorter than Bok. You know, he stands about somewhere between 2 and 3 feet. Where Bok's like a solid between 3 and 4. So he's smaller, and I don't know if Stanley has a background with cats, but you and I, John, know cats dislike getting dirty, very much. And Bubbles seems to be a little like,
Buttons.
Buttons seems to be a little, I don't know. I don't know about this one.
Look, there is a chance that I or they might need your help.
Mm-hmm.
You need to toughen up a little. Besides, you wanted to catalog it. How are you going to catalog whatever this is from over there?
I mean, how is any of my belongings supposed to survive when I'm up to my neck in this gunk? I can't walk through this. Maybe we have something else that can be done. Do you know any magic that can help me get through this?
No, but I could carry you.
Well, that would be wonderful, but I would never ask such a thing. But if you're offering, but you got to promise me one thing, Mr. Stanley.
What?
That we're gonna come back, because if something happens to you and everyone else, I'm never leaving this place.
Buttons, you would be fine, but I don't intend to have anything bad happen to myself or any of us. Besides, if we can free them, you'll have a giant lizard who could carry you back.
Well, I know if everything goes well, we'll be fine, but if everything doesn't go well, then everything's going to be bad, and I'm weighing statistically what's the probability of us coming out of this alive. It's not very good, and the only thing that's got me interested, I'm just curious what's making this music. Yeah, in fact, I'm more curious than I am concerned for my safety. Okay, I'll go on your back. It's decided.
All right, I will let him climb up on my back.
Okay, so his little cat paws, like he has claws, and they hook into you, and he has this jab in your back as his hind leg, which is made of metal, just like kicks. You know, the hydraulics kick in, and it just bumps you in the back in these weird spots, and eventually he crawls up onto the back of your neck, and he's sort of curled around, and he keeps putting his one of his metal hind leg like in your cheek, so it's just kind of like resting in your cheek like this. To hold on, he's very awkward up there. Remember, he's a little on the big side. He's a big boy.
Buttons, I'm going to encourage you not to squirm, please. Thank you.
Okay, I'll try and hold still, and then
start forging ahead.
And as you guys start forging ahead, I guess his bag jostles around on his back, and it spills ink, spills ink all over the side of your head and down your cheek. And he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." And he goes and he puts it back up. I just didn't screw it on tight enough. And he puts the ink well back into his bag.
This day, stay focused, Stanley. It's fine. You can prestidigitate on the other side of this. It will be okay.
I don't want to worry you, Mr. Stanley, but I should have gone to the bathroom before we left. I'm just gonna say that. Let's get to where we're going quickly. But if I need to go, I'm just gonna go off the back of you, okay? I'll try not to get any on you.
It's going to be fine. I'm pick up the pace. Stanley just keeps
the other thing I want to
himself.
know is I think in these oil sands, like it looks like it's not too deep. Sorry, I just gotta fix my mic here. Looks like it's not too deep, but there might be sinkholes. So we've got to be do you have a stick or something long that you can poke ahead to make sure we don't go into a sinkhole?
Yes, I will pull out my rapier and use it as kind of like a walking stick, kind of feeling around.
He's like, don't use it like a walking stick. You need to poke ahead before you step ahead so that we know if there's a hole there or not.
Thank you, Buttons. I will do that. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
We
You keep
start
walking.
making progress.
And then he continues talking in your ear about, there's an abundance of oil out here. This is magnificent. Imagine what
Buttons?
humanity can do with all this oil. This is great.
I require concentration, please. And as we approach where we're going, a stealthy approach would be better.
Okay, I'm sorry. And then this time he does respect your request for radio silence and doesn't say anything. So it's nighttime. The moon is bright in the sky, sort of illuminating the desert faintly. And you get deeper and deeper into this mucky sand / oily substance. It's not water. It's very thick, and you've got to it's taking a lot of extra effort now to drag your foot up and then plant it to make the next step. So you're moving at half speed now, and the going starts getting really slow. That being said, you still do seem to be making a little bit of time on Varel and Bok Bok. Not by much. They're still off in the distance. But to your shock and horror, you watch them as they begin to descend down very quickly. Their body just sort of moves down very quickly, very suddenly, and then they vanish from view.
How far away from that would I have been?
About 400 feet out.
All right.
It'll take you, 400 feet will take you, with the muck and everything, maybe 10 or 20 minutes to wade your way over to.
I'm going to... Ooh, that's a long time. I'm going to make a note of where they seem to go down and just try to make as quick a pace to get over there as I can.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Hold on tight, Buttons. We have to move quickly.
He's like, I think I saw that they went into the muck or something. Why would they do that?
They may have hit one of those sinkholes you were talking about.
Okay, well, if I see anything, I'll let you know. And then, so as you walk a bit, you do so in silence. And then after, maybe 5 minutes, Buttons taps you on the shoulder. He's like, oh, I see something. I see something, Stanley. There's a hole in the ground. There appears to be a bit of a rock face sloshing around. The oil sand is sloshing around this bit of a rock face, and I see a cavern that's going down as it gets to this rock face, but it's barely concealed. It's not a big mound over it, and he's like, oh, how exciting, a place to go into.
Keep pointing me in the right direction towards it, Buttons. That's where we're going to head.
Okay, and so you move ahead again for a few more minutes, and as you get closer, you do in fact see that there is a solid sort of rock surface that is slightly covered in some spots, like it's just at the level of the oil sands, but it's enough to show that appears to be this tunnel coming out from underneath, and it descends into blackness. You can't see inside.
And if I look behind me, is Tedna still making his approach? Does it look like he's coming in this direction as well?
Yeah, you look behind you and you see Tedna's made it now to the shoreline where the oil sand starts, and he's beginning to walk into it in the same direction, heading towards you.
All right. We're going to have to go down there. It looks like this is where everybody is headed.
Well, lead the way. I can't really see very good. Do you have a lantern?
I do, but
I had some lag and I missed everything you said after I do.
Oh, I said I do, but I would be hesitant to light it in an environment like this.
Oh.
It seems like a good way to get
of course.
everybody.
Good call. Well, do you know any magic that illuminates things?
No, I'm able to see in the dark pretty well.
Man, what's up with us? We both know our practitioners of magic, yet neither one of us can make a magical light. Oh, I tell you. Let me see if I have anything in my bag. Looks around. Nope, I've got nothing. We're screwed.
So even with my dark vision, I'm not able to see.
You're able
anything.
to see in there, but the cat doesn't have dark vision.
Well,
he
you're
does,
going to
actually.
have to.
Never mind.
All right, I was gonna say I
Yeah,
thought cats
cats
could
can
see
see in the
pretty well
dark.
in the dark.
He's like, oh, I forgot. I can see in the dark. I just thought you couldn't because you were a human. I was thinking of you. But
I'm
you're a half elf.
elf,
So as
but-
part of like your half elf properties, you get to have see in the dark vision. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's a real boon. If we don't need it, then we can proceed.
Lead the way.
All right, I will start to head down the tunnel.
Okay, so you begin moving down the cavern, and you can see like along the sides where the sort of like the oil sort of leaks, splashes over the side of the entrance, and all the walls are very runny with oil, and it's very sandy, very dirty in there. And the ground, you notice it's a cavern, it's like it's hard clay on the ground, and in some places rock, different types of sediment. But there's like this layer of like wet sand, and you descend down into the cavern, and you walk a solid 5 minutes as you go down deep beneath the water line, the oil, where the oil is, and eventually the path turns into a set of solid cement stairs, and you're in this hallway, and there's these cement blocks forming stairs ahead of you. And it becomes a little less moist and damp on the walls. And sort of ahead of you descending is a flight of stairs. Like almost as if it used to lead somewhere and was broken off and long forgotten, and now there's a set of stairs there.
This
Old,
is
dirty,
exceptionally strange.
musty.
We've hit a spot that's man-made.
Yes! We found a ruin! I love it! And he yells out, and he echoes throughout the...
But
Right, we might be in danger. I'm sorry. Very excited. Usually, I only have to think of myself, because I can just, go invisible and get away from danger.
keep in mind, you're worrying about me, and we're trying to get everybody out as well.
Right. That's what okay, that's what we're trying to do. I mean, like I said, I'm really here to bring back knowledge. But yes, it would be ideal if your friends lived.
And me is your way back across.
Well, I'd like to think maybe we're becoming friends.
Buttons, I've known you for a couple hours.
But you're so nice. I quite like you.
Let's proceed.
Okay. All right, so you move down the stairs, and at the bottom of the stairs, after another few minutes of descent, it appears that a hallway. There's a bit of a hallway, and then a set of double doors. They're wooden. They look old, and they're adorned with an ornamentation of like tree branches and vine, like designed into the door. Door has two turny handles. Actually, no, scratch that. They're the button push handles.
The button push.
Sorry, the wrong handles.
I'm going to approach the door, put my hand against it and lean in and just listen and see if I can hear anything beyond it. Or is the sound still so loud I wouldn't be able to hear over it?
You do still hear the singing, and the singing really hasn't changed other than it's become a little more pronounced in that you're in an enclosed space, so it's echoing off the walls and reverberating. So technically it's louder. And
Can I make out any other lyrics, or is it still just the Taurisha?
You do start to make out a second and third word. You hear Enja and Romai. And you're not these are definitely elven pronunciations. Again, it feels like old dialect, like they're using syllables that you recognize in a way that is unfamiliar, but closely like how Latin might actually be an English word or something like that, that we use in today's parlance. So it's weird.
So I recognize it as Elvish, but maybe not the meaning behind it.
That's right. You don't understand the meaning behind it. But the phonetics sound Elvish to you. What languages do you speak, by the way?
I speak Common, Draconic, Elvish, and Halfling.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, yeah. So you want to roll to listen at the door?
Yeah, just to see if I hear anything immediately beyond it.
Make a perception roll.
15.
Okay. So you go to we move up to the door to try and listen. The loud sounds of the singing really is crowding out your ability to be able to hear. You think, because you don't hear anything.
All right. I'm going to assume that, Varel and Bach and whoever has had to come through here has been able to navigate this. Mm-hmm. And Nash didn't seem to be able to mess with doors all that well. So I'm going to guess that there isn't anything tricky to this door. And I'm going to just try to open it and move through.
Okay. The right door or the left door?
Left is always right, so left.
I had to think about that. All right. So you open up the left door, push down and pull. It's a pull door to open. Sort of look in. You see a large room. And the door opens up easily. It does so without a squeak. You can move through it if you wish.
Yeah. Move forward.
So you look at you take in the room. Bubbles follows you in very quietly. And then
His name's Buttons.
Buttons? Frick! God damn it!
You named him Buttons. This is the name of
your NPC. I just keep calling him Bubbles for some reason. You know why? It's because my sister had a cat named Bubbles. But I didn't think of that when I was because he's passed away. It's been a while, but I think that's why I keep calling him Bubbles.
Look, I think it's good. You're going to single-handedly introduce a new element to the drinking game every time Bo calls Buttons Bubbles.
Basically,
take a drink.
Yeah, it's bad. So Buttons sneaks quietly in behind you. And this time, for the first time, his body language is suggesting that it's sort of serious and he's nervous and he's paying attention. And you look around this large room. And what's weird about it is that it's like you're on this main floor, and there's all these little rooms to the right and left. Very small little room. Who would use rooms that small? And then there's an opening up to a second floor where there's a balcony, and then it looks like it has the same rooms up above it. I mean, it'd be housing for an army.
The rooms seem designed. Are they just small rooms, or are they designed for smaller people?
History check.
Natural 20.
So you're kind of confused about what you're looking at, and then it's something that you once read in the dictionary. It's a word called prison. And the way it was described isn't how you know imprisonment to be like in this day and age, which mainly just involves being thrown in cages or being tied to back of cars and dragged on the sand. There's no prisons that you've never seen a prison complex. And this to me strikes you as a series of rooms too small for anyone to live in if it was like a set of apartments or something.
Right.
There's curiously no doors on any of the rooms. So you're not sure how anyone's kept in them, but that's what your brain tells you. Is that you're as you go back and thinking, you think this might be a prison of some kind. Or have been.
If I go and move and look inside the whatever one is nearest to me, is there anybody in any of these rooms? Or are they empty?
Empty. Not a soul that you can see as you peer around and walk. You see nothing.
Very strange. Gonna cautiously move up to the second floor, see if I see anything there.
You go to move up to the second floor, but you notice there isn't a set of stairs.
Is there a discernible exit to this room?
Yeah, as you make your way down a longer hallway, you see that there's another set of double doors at the end on the same floor as you, adorned with the same sort of wood and thorn and vine design scratched into the door.
All right, I'm going to kind of hug, we'll say, the right side wall a bit and move slowly and cautiously to the end of the hallway to those doors as well.
Okay. Roll a stealth check.
That is a 19.
Okay. So you quietly approach the door. Bubbles takes your cue, sees you being quiet, does so himself, and was surprisingly quiet right behind you. He's very different than how he was when you guys were enthusiastically. He was crying out in the field about how happy he was. He's all of a sudden seems to be in serious mode as he sneaks behind you very quietly, very briskly. You move up towards the door. And this time, as you get close to the door, the music suddenly gets very loud.
All right, I'm going to lean down very quietly and whisper to Buttons. Whatever is making this sound seems to be not far off now. If it gets dangerous, do you have a method of protecting yourself? I'm not talking about escape.
Like, escape is how I protect. Sorry, escape is how I protect myself. I don't. I'm not the kind of wizard that's going to throw a big fireball in somebody's face or anything like that. I'm kind of a pacifist.
Have you ever used a dagger before?
I mean, I have claws, and I scratch faces of people I don't really like, but
I'm gonna reach down into my boot and pull out the dagger that I keep there and hand it to Buttons. If you need it, just in case.
Okay, so you take the dagger and hand it to him, and he looks a little apprehensive at first, like, and then you realize why, is that he goes to grab it with both of his hands, and it's like a great sword in his hand. And his little paws, like, it hits as soon as you let go of the dagger, it just hits the dirt as if it was like it's too heavy for him to carry. And he's like, I'm not the most, like, strong. What am I gonna do with this sword? I can't even do anything with it. Like, look how heavy it is.
All right, I'm gonna take it back.
Yeah.
All right, just be careful. Watch my back.
Okay, well, maybe I can, I can get us out of a scrape. If things get rough, maybe we should come up with a keyword.
Okay, the keyword is lemon tree.
Lemon. Okay, I think I better write this down. So we have a keyword. If you say lemon tree, then we're gonna get them out of there, right? That's
like, right.
Even if your friends are in danger. I mean, there's no sense in all of us dying. When some of us can live.
Lemon tree, I will be the judge of the danger. If you need to stay hidden, you stay hidden, but we're not leaving until I say.
Okay. Then you hear this loud bang echo throughout the room. It's coming from the door behind you. And then you see the door slowly slide open, and Tedna walks through the door, covered in mud all the way up to his waist. He's very dirty. He sort of saunters in, starts walking in your direction towards the other door.
Can you make yourself invisible again?
I mean, I can, but I have a limited amount of... We might want to save it for an actual dangerous situation. He's not dangerous.
All right, well, make yourself scarce. I have an idea on how to proceed.
Okay, well, should I do that? Okay, I'll go in one of these rooms over here. He sneaks off to one of the side rooms.
I'm going to stand up, and I am going to force my way through the door in the same manner that I have seen, or that I would believe that they would use, and I'm going to move at a slow, kind of dazed clip. I'm going to imitate what I've seen them doing so far as I proceed forward.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you're going to do like Tedna, basically, like just walk weird, stand ahead.
Yeah.
All right, you do a bit of rehearsal a little bit and standing in place and doing it, prepping. Then you slowly grab the door handle, open it up, and walk through. I think we'll take our break here. We'll see.
Oh man, that's such a bad place for a break.
We'll take our break and we'll be right back. For now, here's a little chat room. Here's a little slideshow. I'm going to put it there, and I'm muting us. See you in a bit. We're back. Oh no, wait, I gotta get my thing. All right, I'm here. Hello, sorry.
Hey, welcome back.
Ah,
Man, you got some old stuff on this slideshow. You got
Yeah,
like
I
early
kinda-
version of Stanley when he had just like a mohawk.
I cataloged it all.
Yeah.
I did spend some time last week going through all of it and sorting it and everything. So, yeah, all that art. Okay, hello, we're back. Let me just get a swig of this old pop here.
Do it. Swig the pop.
Yeah. Okay. You ready?
I'm ready. Don't forget to restart the recording.
Yep, just making sure. La la la. Is it recording? It is. Hello. Okay, we're back, everyone. So, Stanley, you've assumed the walk of the enchanted as you proceed through the door. There's a bit of a hill. Surprisingly, you were expecting to find more cement stone, but instead you found cave again, cavernous sediment on the ground, and very sandy. And you hear this swooshing over the sound of the singing that's going, ah, ooh, ah. And so you don't break in your acting physicality. You move down this sort of hill, and as you move down the hill, you see that the cave opens up into this large space, and what you see defies imagination. You see a pile of bones along a shore of an underground beach. Opens up to a large space. There's stalagmites and stalactites, large cavernous area, and it spreads open into this beach. And I say beach because it's not water there, but that same sort of oil sands, and you hear dripping of broop, 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 as you know, this oil appears to drip from the ceiling into the lake below. And on this beach, you see a mountain of bones in the center. Atop this mountain, you see what you can't believe what you're seeing. The best way that you could describe it is there is a giant earthworm sitting atop the pile of bones, and on one end, half it turns into the top torso of a man, kind of a tubby, fat man. But the bottom half looks like this worm, but you see its legs, almost like a, you know what tardigrade is?
Yes.
Yeah. So it has like, it appears to have these little stubby legs, like 6 of them in total, as it clutches the top of the pile of skulls. And for its tail on the back end, it looks earthwormy, and it springs out, and you see a face of a woman on the back. And the face of the woman on the back of the earthworm is going, ooh, ah. And so it's like it has a man half on the front half, and then this tardigrade but earthworm fleshy body, and then the face on the end of its tail singing. You also see Hope, Varel, and Bok Bok. They're sort of cuddled underneath his large worm-like frame, and like puppies suckling at their mother. They're not They're not suckling, though. They're just there sort of in its bosom, being comforted. And you see one of its large claw hands like petting Varel's head, almost soothing like a mother would. You hear Tedna behind you slowly walking towards you as you slowly walk towards it. To the left of this site, you also see a hut and a cauldron and a table and chairs. There's a little light on inside of the hut. And you see all this as you approach.
Oh boy. And about how far away is all of this? Like, how far do I have to walk till I'm up in the business?
You've got like 3 minutes, maybe 2.
Any sign of activity from the hut? If I just glance over and look at it, any indication beyond the light that there's anybody in there?
You sort of you remove your eyes from concentrating on the acting part of being enchanted. You look over there and you see a shadow move inside.
Does either part of the creature seem to be paying much attention to me, or is it kind of fawning over?
It's fawning over Hope and Varel and Bok right now.
And are they the only other living beings in the vicinity at the moment?
Yeah, that you can see, yes, except for Tedna, who's behind you.
All right. I am going to, for the moment, allow myself to approach to get closer.
Okay.
And just sort of observe and see what additional things I can see.
So as you get closer, the being sitting atop the pile of skulls and bones looks over at you. You try really hard not to break your stare and look at him out of your periphery. Let's do an acting check. Get that performance check going here.
Yeah, finally. It's been a while since we've worked on that one. Natural 20 for a 29.
The being looks at you, the singing continuing, and then it looks towards the hut and says, Mommy! 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 Another one! We have another one here! I have more friends! More friends! And it yells it out. And you hear a voice from the hut going, Why, that's lovely, dear! Mommy, come see, come see! 1 second. And then from the hut emerges this robed woman wearing a sort of a cowl. She's wearing a cowl, but she's naked. She's older, and in her body saying got a large pot belly as she steps out. She's slender, though. She has a pot belly and these ample breasts, but everything about her skin looks gray and sickly. And her face has pimples and warts, and it's hideous. But she has this slenderness to her. And you sort of see as she pushes out, her ears are very pointed. She goes, Oh, look at the lovely, lovely new friends you've made. And she sort of smacks her lips. And she takes out her teeth. She has these dentures. And she just puts them back in. Firms them up. She goes, Which one shall we eat first? I don't know, Mommy. I think they're great. Can we wait to eat them? Maybe we can wait to eat them. But you have to eat. You're a growing boy. We need to get you some food. This happens as you continue walking towards this old naked woman in the earthworm / person monstrosity.
Will I be approaching her before I get to him and all of that? What's my path towards them?
You're going straight for the pile of bones. The hut is off to the left. And in your periphery, you notice there's a cauldron underneath what appears to be a small flame. As you broach around the hut, you can see it there. And you see there's like a dining table with some chairs, rotted. Everything about it, the wood is gray and black and rotted and chipping off. But it's a table and a chairs. And there's like a place setting for bowls and crude looking utensils.
As a act of caution, I'm going to, as I'm continuing my disjointed walk, I'm going to try to sneakily grab the dagger that I keep behind my back and have it ready in my hand.
Sleight of hand.
It's an 8.
Okay, you go to, what's 8? 10 and 5 would be very easy. This is a very easy action for you, so.
Okay.
You quietly move and put the blade into your hand. And have it in your sleeve? Is that right?
Yeah, just sort of tucked along the arm.
Gotcha.
So
You're clutching it in a way that's out of view.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You have the blade in your hand.
And keep making my way down. The only thing I would like to prepare as I move forward is if I get any sense that Varel or Hope are going to be in immediate danger, I will throw the dagger at the singing mouth part of the tail.
Okay. I gotcha. So you're going to throw the dagger at the tail where the singing happens. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you approach closer. You're now at the foot of the pile of bones. The old hag appears to walk towards the cauldron and lifts up a big sort of spoon and begins stirring in there quietly. And the large beast, you don't know what to call it. I don't even know what to call it. Looks down at Varel, pets Varel's head, and says, "Mommy, I like this one. This one is what color is this? I don't even know, but it's shiny, and it picks my hands when I rub my hands on him. He's got like Sharpie on him. This one's great. I'm very happy for you, son," she says. You're now at the foot of the pile of bones. I will note that the tail's somewhat out of view now. He has a very large body.
All right. How far away am I from the old woman?
She's about 60 feet out to the left. In the vicinity of her hut.
The path doesn't take me any closer, does it?
No.
All right. With this being as close as I am going to be able to get, I am going to break stride, and I'm going to start to move towards the hut. And I'm going to say, "Good evening. My name is Stanley Billings, and I would be grateful if you would let my friends go."
The woman, the old woman, is shocked. As soon as you break stride, she goes, "Huh? What's this now? What is the meaning of this?"
I have told you. My name is Stanley Billings, and you currently have enthralled 4 individuals with which I want freed.
"Mommy, why is that one talking to you?" "I don't know, son."
As I talk, I'm going to continue to close distance towards her. Slowly, not aggressively, but just making stride.
Her eyes look cutted at you. "I see you were pretending to be enticed by my son. You're a tricksy one. Blort, what do we do with tricksy ones?" We kill them." And he laughs and he goes, Yes.
I would advise very much against that. Blort, was it? If you attempt anything, I will make sure your precious little mommy doesn't draw another breath.
He's a tough guy. Tell me, Stanley Billings, how come you don't find my son very enchanting? Very, very strange.
Well, for one, he seems like a rather large worm.
My son is beautiful. Don't you go insulting my child. Don't you know that that's rude?
Considering you have stolen my friends and comrades in the middle of the night, I would say we are about even at the moment.
I didn't steal your friends. They wanted to be here. Look at them and how they revel in my son's beauty. He's quite
Really?
beautiful. Yes.
Tell
yes,
that
yes.
singing to stop and let's see what they think about it.
I would never tell my child not to pursue his dreams and live his art.
And what art would that be? I'm still continuing to try to get closer.
Okay, you start edging closer. My son is very special to me. Do you have children, Mr. Stanley?
No.
Then you wouldn't understand. But you say that these are your friends?
Yes, they are under my care and my protection.
Something catches in her eyes, and her eyebrow moves up. She sort of recoils back and she says, "Oh, this explains everything. You're an elf. Dirty, arrogant elf.
Half-elf, actually.
Well, pardon me. This explains why you don't succumb to the enchantment of my son's singing. It's not meant for your kind.
Seems to be a rather big advantage from where I'm standing.
I should say, our kind." And she points to her ears and she says, "I was once like you. I was once like you."
How did you come to be here? You and your son.
Oh. Blort, he doesn't know. He doesn't know his future. He doesn't know. Oh, he's a dumb mommy. And he laughs, and little like flesh plops out of his mouth as he laughs. He doesn't know. Elves, I'm your future. What you are looking at is the future for all elves who don't return home.
What are you talking about?
Elves don't grow old and die. Elves rot. Anyone never told you that, cursed one? A whole race is cursed.
I can't say that I have found the plight of elves particularly fascinating or interesting. They haven't had the time for me, and I haven't had the time for them.
Well, you should enjoy your precious beauty in good looks and charm, in affinity for all things magic while you can. Because one day, I assure you, you'll be me. In fact, if I was several hundred years younger, I might find you a little fetching. For a half-elf.
Thank you. I'm flattered. However, I must insist on my course here.
How rude not to return a compliment once one is given. He's a rude one, Blort. Yeah, Mommy, I know. Look at his ugly face. Now, don't be rude to our guests, Lord. Would you care to... Oh.
Release them. Stop the singing now.
They're just... Why? How can they be your friends? Elves don't have friends.
At the end of the day, does it really matter?
You two know why there are other races beyond elves. Yes? Do you? I see you lacked a proper mother figure in your life.
You would be wise to be very careful what you say further about my upbringing.
Anyone, the other races were created to remind elves of humility, that they are fortunate to be elves. Because all of the other races are so despicable and slow. That's their purpose, to keep us humble, I suppose, or, I don't know, some lesson from some god somewhere. I've seen many things in my lifetime, young Stanley.
I may not have your years of experience, but there's one truth that I have seen, is that it doesn't matter what your background is. Everybody in this world is capable of the same level of ugliness and despicableness.
Unfortunately, I can't leave you. I can't release your friends. We require them.
What for?
You perhaps noticed the strange architecture of where we are. Many centuries, I was warden of this place. And my calling was to secure the most dangerous of our unwanted and misguided of our kind. Not criminals. Humans have criminals. But when elves do wrong, they have to be put someplace too. Now, since the scorching, the world has long since changed. And we have, well, you can tell by the pile of bones that we've nourished on all the prisoners over the years. But we have one remaining prisoner that we must, at all costs, not let go. But we need food, and most importantly, we need the precious mana waves inside their souls to help maintain our magical wards. You understand, this is a high calling that I take with the utmost of seriousness.
I understand a obligation to duty. Mine is that I will not be leaving here without my allies. So I will tell you one more time before something unfortunate falls you or your boy. Release them, and I will walk out of here with my friends, and you can lure whoever else you would like. Live out the rest of your days without any obstruction from me or us. But if you do not, I will end both of you.
Lord, he doesn't sound like he wants to relent in this line of thinking. I suppose we'll have to kill him. Yes? Was that your choice ultimately, Stanley Billings? You sure you wouldn't rather stay for dinner? Think about things.
And eat one of my friends. Is that your offer?
No. I've got wonderful slug stew that I'm cooking. Trust me, you will feel right as rain after a bowl of my slug stew. Perhaps I can make it for you. And you feel a sensation in your body. I need you to roll a 1 second. You feel a sensation flowing into your body. You're not sure. You're not sure what's happening, but you do feel a strange sensation. You all of a sudden feel a little more predisposed to understanding this person, a little more empathetic to them. And you're not sure why. You're a little frustrated by it.
If you can assure that at least for the moment, no harm will come to them, perhaps we can have another moment to speak further.
Yeah, stay for dinner, and then if you decide you want to try to kill us, then at that point maybe you can. But I think you should try some of my slug stew. It's very delicious. Back before the scorching, I even was nominated for an award for it. Can you imagine that? Awards. I haven't seen an award in millennia.
Can I do a insight check as to if she is, I don't know, I guess if there is any maliciousness to her desire for me to eat this stew?
Sure. I mean, you're reading her body language to see if there's a hint of that?
Yeah, like, is this a more, I guess, is her intent to genuinely have me sit down, or do I detect that this is just a trap?
Okay, roll an insight check.
16.
Okay. So you can smell a little bit of what's being brewed in the pot. It doesn't smell good. And so your rational, your mind is saying you definitely won't like this, and that this your gut instinct doesn't trust it.
Okay.
The magic that, or the feeling that this weird, strange feeling that washes over you now begins to intensify. And the woman, the old hag, raises up her hands, sort of spreads her fingers out towards you like this, and she goes, we're gonna need you to make a wisdom save.
9.
Sorry, it's with disadvantage.
Oh, well, it wasn't very good to begin with.
I'm sorry,
let's
no,
see.
it doesn't work that way. It's just with the regular one. Okay.
Okay, 9.
Okay. You now your heart begins to lighten towards this person as you feel empathy for them, and you effectively have the charm status on you, she clearly cast a magical spell in your direction.
Okay.
And now you feel like some sort of empathy, like this person's been trapped down here, potentially guarding something for thousands of years. You know, that feels like, oh, there's this high calling there.
Oh, wait a minute. If she's charming me, I have advantage on those throws.
Oh, good. Then use your advantage. Yeah, that's why I mentioned it, because it is a charm effect.
That's a... Wait, hold on. Let me make sure I'm adding the right thing. It was a wisdom save?
Yeah.
21.
Okay. So you have all these thoughts for a single second, and then you realize she just tried to use charm magic on you.
And that is going to be the last mistake you make.
She goes,
and I'm going
Blork,
to
get
cast
him!
Hex on her.
Blork, get him! You cast Hex on. Okay, roll for initiative.
That is going to be a 24.
Okay. 24 for Stanley. Okay. All right, let me roll my initiatives. Okay. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you're casting Hex on her. Make your attack roll, please.
Okay. Am I adding anything or just a straight D20 roll?
D20, please.
It's at 10.
Oh, do you add something?
No, Hex just lands.
Oh, it just. Oh, then there's no need to roll anything. Sorry.
That's all right.
Not bad. Okay.
And I want to give her disadvantage on wisdom saves.
Okay, so she's hexed. A whiz disadvantage. Is it till her next? Oh, just it's persistent, right?
Yeah, it's as long as Hex remains.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so what does it look like when she's hexed? Like,
so when Stanley casts Hex, he does kind of a Doctor Strange style hand gesture, and he just says, "The eyes of TWBD have fallen upon you," and she would see his eyes, which glow when he casts magic. The glow leaves his eyes and trail and move and hover behind her and fall upon her as if two phantom eyes are looking down from behind.
okay, so she recoils as she goes, "Ah, Blort, help me!" Now she would normally be her turn. Do you have anything else you want to do?
If I have my full list of actions,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Your first to act in the turn order.
Okay, and then I am going to hit her with Dissonant Whispers at the second level.
Okay, so Hex is a bonus action.
Yes, Hex is a bonus action.
All right, Dissonant Whispers. All right, what happens?
She has to do a Wisdom 15 saving throw.
Okay. Now I have disadvantage, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. Yeah, it's definitely a fail.
Okay. So let me roll the damage. It's 22 points of damage.
Oh my god. Ouchies.
And she has to use her full movement to run away from me.
Okay, so she grasps her head and she goes, "Ah!" See a yellow.
Well done, Bo.
She grasps her head and she's like, "Ah!" And she takes off running in the direction of the oil sands, the beach, under the ground. There's the water. She runs out, both hands clutching her head as she runs out, and she just manages to yell, "Get them, Bo! Get them!" She screams out. Okay, and then Blort goes, "Hey, don't be mean to my mommy!" And he slowly starts to clamber on down, knocking over Varel, Bok, and Hope as he starts to shuffle on down. But he's slow and big, but he's like his hands are like stomping on the breaking skulls and bones as they clamp their way down. And he moves towards you, starts bearing down on you, but he doesn't reach you quite yet during his turn. That being said, Varel, Hope, and Bok kind of look at the situation as it's broken out into violence very suddenly, and they all turn to look at you, these friendly, familiar faces, and they scowl, and they all start charging at you as well. And,
oh, shit.
Varel starts bearing down and goes, "Don't destroy this beautiful creature!" And he runs, he dashes up towards you, and he doesn't have any weapons in his hand, so he just launches a rocket fist, sort of undercut, try and punch you in the stomach. It's 21 to hit.
I will definitely hit.
Okay. I don't know how to... What's his damage? It's an unarmed strike, so we'll do that. That's easy. Okay, you take 6 points of damage. He runs up to you, boom, punches you. Hope also runs towards you. Doesn't appear to have taken out any weapons. She runs your way, and she doesn't make it to you.
Hold on, I gotta do see if Hex dispels.
Because of concentration.
It doesn't. It's fine.
Cool.
But yes, every time I take damage, I gotta roll that.
Hope runs up to you, and Bok also runs up to you, and you see him start fiddling in his pants as he runs your direction. It's now your turn.
All right. So if
Varel's
they're
in your
within...
face, and the large creature is bearing down on you.
Okay, I am going to, as a bonus action, have my eyes flash silver and use, what's it called? Mantle of Inspiration.
Okay.
Alit Orish Yal Taldin. Give myself 5 temporary hit points. And allow myself to move up to my movement without an opportunity attack. I'm going to move as close as I can get to the singing face part of Blort's body.
Yeah.
And I'm going to shove diplomacy into the face.
Okay. Make an attack roll.
That's a 16.
16. Okay. It's a hit.
$11 damage.
Okay. So you sink it in, and you hear the voice scream, "Ah!" Instead of singing, it breaks the singing. It's like, "Ah!" It's wailing like a banshee. It's just screaming. I need you to roll a Constitution save, please.
7.
Okay, you're now deafened. Let's make sure I get that status up here. You're now deafened, which has a negative status effect on you.
Can't hear and automatically fails any ability check that requires hearing.
Yeah. Oh no. But you can't hear.
Hey, that could happen.
It's not the worst of effects considering you don't have any much teammates. Although I guess you couldn't yell out lemon tree right now. Nobody here. So you're deafened as it screams. You sort of stab it. Anything else for your turn?
That is it. That's my bonus action, and move.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it.
Okay. So how many turns does the hag have to suffer dissonant whispers? Does she keep running for like 10 minutes or what?
I believe it's just one. Let me just verify, but I think it's just one.
Okay. So she keeps running out into the muck.
Yeah, it's just the one turn.
Okay. All right, so you stab the face. The face has the sword in it. You pull it out. It's screaming. Blort turns around and goes, "Hi!" And he moves his body all the way around, and he just lets off. He tries to grapple you. He tries to pick you up. All right, 20.
Yeah, he's gonna get me. That's only a 12 for dexterity to get away from it.
Okay, 12 from dexterity. So he picks you up in both of his hands. His top half of his body is about Varel size. It's fat. He just grabs you on either side of the waist and picks you up, and he hasn't done anything with you. He just has you up in front of his face like this. He's picked you up, and his face is disgusting. He's got this bald head, and his skin, it's like human fleshy, but it also kind of looks like worm skin. It's got these little ridges in it all over the place, and his breath is foul. Like, imagine someone that's never brushed their teeth in hundreds of years, and just this is like melts your nose, and you're deaf, and now your nose is under assault. Varel, who also turned around and went to run directly at, chase you as you went to the back of Blort to stab it, takes a few steps. And this weird look lands on his face, and then his eyes roll up, and he falls to the ground. And then out of the corner of your eye, you see Tedna, who's been approaching, and he was about to start to run and attack. He also falls to the ground. And Hope also starts running towards you, and she sort of falls under and passes out. Bok, however, doesn't stop moving. He runs, and he's got the dynamite, and he goes, and he pulls out a stick of dynamite, but he looks like he's not sure where to put it. He looks at you, and then he looks at the big worm, half man guy, and then back at you, and then he lights it, and then he goes back and he looks at you, and he's just standing there with the dynamite. Okay, so now it's back to your turn.
How far away is Bok from me?
Well, he's about. You would have moved 30 feet since you didn't use a dash, so let's say 30 feet. It won't explode near you currently.
Boy, this seems risky. I like it, but it seems risky. I'm gonna try to use Mage Hand to take the dynamite from Bok Bok and float it into the mouth of Blort.
Wait, you're using your Mage Hand to pick up the dynamite? I like it. I just want to make sure I understand.
Yes. It's going to grab the stick of dynamite from Bok Bok and float it up into Blort.
Okay. The Mage Hand works that way. I just want to make sure, because it's awesome, and I don't want to make sure some weird rules thing that we couldn't have done it. So
I'll just read it. Spectral floating hand appears at a point you choose within range. The hand lasts for the duration or until you dismiss it as an action. The hand vanishes if it is ever more than 30 feet from you, or if you cast the spell again. You can use the action to control the hand. You can use the hand to manipulate an object, open an unlocked door container, store, retrieve an item from an open container, or pour the contents out of a vial. The hand can move up to 30 feet each time you use it.
Okay. So you can move. So your action is moving the hand. It's not part of your move. Your action would be moving the hand.
Right, so it appears 30 feet away, which would be at Bok Bok.
Yeah, so it appears 30 feet away. You can use a free action to interact with one thing. So pick up a dynamite stick.
Right.
Use your action to move it 30 feet.
Yep, which would be the mouth.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
Because it can appear anywhere within 30 feet that I want.
It says you can open an unlocked door container. So like unlocking a door would be a full action of its own. So we could count as one action, you picking it up and dropping it.
Oh, okay.
We're not using a free action. Like, it's part of your action. It's a surrogate action, if you know what I mean. Like, use your action, use the hand. I'm just trying to think, what can the hand do? So it can move and, like, unlock a lock. Like, in theory, it's better than your actual turn. Because you can use your action to move the hand and do a thing. Whereas on your turn, you have to use a move action and an action.
Right.
To do those things. You get what I'm saying? Like, you're...
Yeah.
It's like a savings of one turn. It's free real turn estate.
There's a free savings on this hand. This Mage Hand is a good deal. Come on down.
Yeah, I just want to make sure we're getting it right. That sounds right to me. So you pick up the hand with the Mage Hand, like a spectral hand appears in front of Bok Bok. He goes, ah, ah, and he starts chasing the hand, but you float the hand up so that he can't jump and he's like trying to. He doesn't know it's from you, so he's like running after the dynamite and chasing after the hand to get the dynamite, and you bring the stick to his mouth and just like stick it in there.
Yeah.
Okay, and so then... you stick it in there and he immediately drops you.
Oh, nice.
So one fall damage for 1d10. Roll a dex save to see if you cut it by half.
I mean, we can feather fall that.
You're gonna feather fall it?
I'm gonna feather fall it.
Okay. All right. So
I don't know how much
he goes to drop you, and you're just like instinctively like, and you sort of float down. He goes to drop you, and you drop down. You start dropping in slow motion immediately. He's got the stick in his mouth, and he's trying to like stick it out, but your hand is like pushing it in. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's gonna try and take it out. Like he's forced it in there. Is what I'm saying. It's like it's in his throat. It isn't just in his between his teeth. But he drops you. It's still your turn, I guess. So that's where we're at right now.
All right. So I've used my action.
Mm-hmm.
I still have some movement. Oh wait,
you're falling.
I've used my reaction because of the feather fall.
Yeah.
So I have a bonus action that I can use.
Mm-hmm. You are in the middle of falling throughout all this now, so like you won't land until the start of your next turn. So anything that involves movement.
I'm gonna. How far away is the hag?
How far away is the hag? She's ran 2 turns, and you ran 30. She's about 90 feet away at this point.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to. I'm gonna throw diplomacy out.
Mm-hmm. Say
parlay, and send it directly into the chest type area of Big Boy. Let's give him something else to be distracted about too.
Blort. Okay.
Blort.
Sure. All right. So that's your turn. Blort then
Do I need to do an attack roll? Did I hit him?
Oh yeah, your first one is it's a bonus action, right? Yeah, do an attack roll.
Yeah.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
That's all right. I just wanted to make sure. It actually might not hit. 13.
13. Yeah, it goes to try and penetrate his skin, and just it looks fleshy and soft, but it's really tough and wrinkly, and it sort of goes into one of his wrinkles and appears to not do anything. Yeah, and it comes out like kind of drenched in this weird coat of sweat and oil.
Yeah, that's gonna get prestidigitated.
You're falling in slow motion. Blort then reaches into like try and pull out the thing. Now your mage hand can't fight with it, right? It's phantasmal, or can it?
Right.
Or can it?
Right. I think it's only about like I think all you'd have to do is about 10 pounds of pressure for it to not be able to fight back against it.
I'm just wondering because like you could leave the hand there and force it.
Yeah, it can't attack, activate magic items, or carry more than 10 pounds. So I would assume 10 pounds of pressure against it would break it.
It's spectral, which means it sounds to me like it's kind of on the ethereal plane somewhat. So like a ghost or something, it's difficult to physically interact with it. So he can't touch it to try and remove the hand. But what I'm asking is he's exerting pressure on the dynamite to remove it from his throat.
Yeah.
And the mage hand still exists, right? Like
Right.
Is it still there?
Yeah.
It lasts for a minute. So your hand could also be exerting counter pressure to keep the dynamite in the throat, right?
Right.
So we're going to okay. Let's do a grapple contest. But we're not going to use strength in the case of this. I think in your case, your magical spellcasting ability is charisma. So it'll be a charisma check versus my strength contest.
Oh, no. It's a 7.
Oh, 14. Okay, so
it was not good.
But you had a good chance. You had a good shot. You had good charisma. So that's why
it was a 2. I rolled a 2.
Like I'm just looking at your sheet here. By the way, it's like there's barely ever charisma saving throws, but you get a +7 to your roll on charisma saving throws. Like
I know
what?
Yeah.
But it's so like it's such a slender case where you need that. All right, so he pulls out the dynamite and he goes, "Oh!" And clearly he doesn't know what it is. So he has it in his hand, and that's his action. So he didn't attack, so there's no multi-attack. He has it in his hand, and he says, "What this?" And he starts, walking towards you, but he's right in front of you anyway, so there isn't, he's just sort of bearing down on you, ready to pounce as soon as you land. His body is moving in such a way he rears up in order to slam the weight of his worm body on top of you and possibly suffocate you and smother you in worm flesh. So that's where he's at. Bok Bok, however, is not having any of that, and he starts to climb on top of this Blort to get his dynamite back.
And, no!
He runs up to it and to his arm, and he bites his arm. So he makes a bite attack on his arm as he crawls up. It's a 16, so he definitely bites this guy. He does 4 damage to it as he climbs up and he says, "Arr, arr, arr, oh, puh, arr, arr." And he clearly, like, if Bok Bok finds this thing disgusting, he's got to be, because it's not fresh. He's like, puh, puh. And then through part of it too, he reaches in as a bonus action. He takes out a good berry from his loincloth and pops it into himself as if giving himself a little boost. So now there's a lit stick of dynamite that Blort is holding. He's reared up on top of you like this, about to crush you. And Bok Bok is hanging off his arm, biting the forearm to try and get the dynamite stick out of his hand.
Oh my gosh, Bok Bok, you sometimes make situations better, and you sometimes make them so much worse.
And you're feathered fall on your back, or not on your back, but like you feathered fall in a safe position, but you need to get out the way, basically. Or not. I don't know what you're going to do. It's your turn.
All right. Yeah, that seems like a good idea.
Does Hex break if someone moves a certain distance from you, by the way? Just wondering about that.
Does what break?
Hex.
The range is 90 feet, which is how far you said she was away from me.
Yeah, but she's going to keep running away, so I was just wondering. Breaks.
Let me see.
I think the range might be the cast range, not the effect range.
Yeah, it doesn't say anything about a range on it. It's just that it exists there.
Yeah, I don't know if that's in the as a base rule, if they run out of your range when you have a concentration spell, if that breaks it or not. But I'm going to say no.
Okay.
So, anyways, continue on. Sorry.
Well, at a certain point, I can only help Bok Bok so much. He's going to do what he's going to do. So I am going to move around him to where I would be out of the way of him falling down, basically to the side as much as I can to get away from that. And ideally to a place where I would have line of sight on the hag.
Okay.
Am I able to see her?
You can make her, you see her running out into the oil lake.
Okay, so I am going to fire an Eldritch Blast at her.
Okay.
That will probably hit 18 plus 7 to hit.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be...
For sure.
14 damage to her.
Okay. You previously did 22, so...
Yep.
36. Okay. So you fire the Eldritch Blast out, it cracks off across the oil lake. Not catching it on fire because it's necrotic, right?
It's force damage.
Oh, so it's force damage. Yeah.
But she actually, so I guess I should clarify, and I should get better at this in general.
Mm-hmm.
It was 8 force damage with 6 necrotic from the hex.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Just gonna check for resistances. Yeah, no, it's not. She takes the full brunt of the damage. As it hits her, square in the back, and she goes "ah!" or "ah."
That'll make it better, Bo. Good job.
Well, because the thing is, I'm in the moment. It's hard to when I'm in the moment, I'm not thinking about microphone. I'm thinking about.
I know. I understand.
She goes "ah," and she hits her square in the back, and she falls down into the oil lake, and a big splash happens. And Blort looks over and she goes, "Mommy, no!" As he, as he's still on his way down to you. Now you've moved out of the way to get advantage on him.
Yeah, I moved around to the side.
Okay, so but he's still reared up in sort of mid position. He goes, "Mommy, no!" And what else is happening on your turn?
I'm going to move. I'm going to move diplomacy so that it is standing point up under where he's falling down towards.
Okay. Is this like a ready action? Well, you can't. You've already used your.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I could attack him, which is fine.
You've already
I could just
used
do a generic
I would
attack.
say you've already used your action. It was your main action to do the Eldritch Blast.
Right.
Readying an action technically uses an action on your turn and then a reaction. But if you want to move it there, you can. As it's an environmental danger, not an attack. Like you're making a trap, right?
Right. Yeah, I guess. So, I don't know. It just seems more interesting to have him impale himself than me to just do a normal attack.
It just means you won't have any control over it. You're not readying an action. You're creating an environmental hazard.
Yeah, so I'll just move diplomacy there and just wait.
Sure. All right, and so he goes, since his momentum was already up there in his sort of prolonged attack, he does drop down his heavy body, smashing into the sword. The sword disappears from view. You think impaling it. Certainly, you can still feel it. So I'm gonna roll your sword damage, please.
Okay. 12 damage.
Okay, he goes, "Oh, that hurts!" And then he crawls up as you're behind you, and he just takes his big fist. He's still got the dynamite in the hand, but he takes his other fist, and he just wants to bop you over the head. And in a way, it reminds me of how Orp killed Sheriff Clementine.
Oh, geez, that's a horrible image to conjure before you attack me.
All right, it is a hit. You take 12 points of damage as the fist comes down and bops you on the head, and you sort of wobble a bit and lose your footing a bit, and you don't fall down, but you take a really strong hit to the back of the head, bludgeoning.
Hex remains.
Okay.
I don't know if she's still alive or not, but Hex remains.
Okay. Right. Oh, because you didn't move it, right?
Right.
You're not sure if she's alive or not. You saw her fall in there. So he baps you in the back of the head, and that will be his turn. Bokbok's going to try and continue biting his hand. Okay, he bites his hand. All right, and this time he does some additional damage to him, about 5 points of damage, as he keeps biting onto his hand. And that would be his turn. Your turn.
Okay. Has when the creature reared up to bop me, can I see the hole where diplomacy is? Is it in there? Can I see it at all?
It's directly under his body. Probably.
Oh, so it's still underneath.
Based on how you feel the force around him, the entire thing is inside of his body at this point.
Ooh, gross.
He's a heavy lad.
Let me see. I just need to see how a spell works here real quick.
I don't know if you can move it to continue slicing through his body.
Sure.
I would say no. He's not. I would say.
I don't know. What happens if I try to call it back to me?
I guess it would slice through it. I mean, you could try. It'd be difficult terrain at the very least. So half movement speed for sure. And I think it'd have to be an attack roll to slice through the body.
Oh, okay. So Bokbok's still up there with the hand. The hand still has the dynamite. It hasn't let that go, right?
He's got the dynamite. He won it from your mage hand. Your mage hand's still hanging around his face.
Right. He still is holding the dynamite right up by Bokbok.
Yeah. That wick is getting real low. And he's right behind you, so you're inside its range of its attack range.
Gosh, freaking dang it, Bokbok, move! I can't talk to him though because he can't understand me.
That's right. You don't speak Goblin, right?
Nope. All right, let's do this. Would it still be a bonus action to call the sword like it normally would? Like it'd be an attack roll, or would it be the full action?
Here's what I'd say is that right now it's stuck in its body, so it has a movement of 0. It's restrained. Let's say. Okay. I'm just going to rule that. Make it easy.
Okay.
Yeah, you're going to have to roll them over and pull it out to get it out. Or it would come out on its own magically.
I am going to... I don't know if she's alive or dead.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, but I kind of need to know that because I can only move it if they hit 0 hit points. So I would move the Hex if she's dead. But if she's not at 0 hit points, then I can't move it.
So I wonder what the dick quotient is on this move. Because I feel like if there's a mystery to whether something's dead or not, it's like, do you have to use an action to find out if you can move it or not? Or can I tell you so that you don't waste an action? Right? And I feel like...
says if the target drops to 0 hit points before the spell ends, you can use a bonus action on a subsequent turn to curse a new creature.
But I feel like since I don't relay that kind of information, who's at 0 hit points, you'll have no way of knowing she's dead. I think there is a dick quotient to this. In that,
okay, so I just have to try it and see if it works.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, you know she's dead. And if it does work,
I try to move the Hex to him, or at least at 0 hit points, like if she's unconscious or something like that.
All right,
I'm gonna try to move the Hex to him.
The Hex moves.
Ooh, all right, now we're getting somewhere. Does it confer the same? Does it confirm the same disadvantage? So it was wisdom for her. Would it continue to be wisdom for him?
I have to read it. Choose one ability when you cast a spell. That's what the choice is made when you cast. Use a bonus action on a subsequent turn of yours to curse a new creature. So
I mean, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to leave it at wisdom,
it specifies that if we're being rules as written, it specifies you make a choice when you cast it. So moving the spell is not casting the spell.
Okay, well, that's perfect. I'm going to use it for the same thing anyway, but I just wanted to be sure.
Yeah.
I am going to hit him with Dissonant Whispers at 2nd level as well.
Okay, and that's a wisdom disadvantage save?
A wisdom disadvantage, he has to hit 15.
No.
6. That is 16 damage. 4 of it is necrotic.
Okay, that's a lot. 16 and 4 is necrotic. Okay, and this makes him run away as well?
Yes, he will use his full movement to move as far away from me as he can.
Okay, so he immediately looks at you in terror, and then he runs out towards the direction that you wouldn't be facing. So the lake is kind of towards your back at this point. So he starts running in the direction of basically where the entrance is, sort of up that hill a bit. But it's very pained. He's like running for his life. Like imagine having a sword stuck in you, but you're still running for your life. So he's just like, I've got to get away, mommy, no! And he runs and he takes the damage. You can see smoldering begin to come from his head, and the mouth on the back looking kind of like it's no longer screaming or making noise. It's just drooling out blood. And it begins to run away. Bok still riding along, taking bites on it, and the dynamite goes off. So I'm just going to roll the damage for that. So this creature takes an additional 11 points of damage, and Bok also hits the explosion. He himself takes 16 points of damage.
Ooh,
as the one stick of dynamite blows up and blows this thing's arm off. You just see an arm fly, hits the wall, and Bok also goes as he flies through the air.
Is he within range to get featherfalled?
Yeah, he flies over your head.
Okay, I'll featherfall him.
And he goes and he reaches, as he's feather falling, he reaches into his loincloth and he takes out a good berry. He starts eating good berry as he's feather falling, and his whole front is full of there's like black soot and burn marks, and there's like little shrapnel cuts on his face. He's eating his good berries on the way down, and then the giant creature Blort sort of stumbles over and goes and he hits the ground. And then there's this second goes by where he's still, and then the body goes and it looks like everything goes limp in it, and it sort of deflates a bit, and then you see this like muck of black blood and weird fleshy pink start to leak from all of the open holes on his tail and in his face. And it's almost like he's melting. It's like he was a balloon that air is slowly escaping, and his form is like slowly deflating as fleshy pink blood pools up around him.
All right. I'm going to... I'm imagining Bok floats to the ground fairly safely.
Yeah. He's like... and he's making a big show about reaching the ground. He's like... And he hits the ground. He's like, and he's talking to you. You don't know what he's saying.
I'm going to first take a look, check on Varel and Hope, make sure that they are unconscious but all right.
You go towards them. Both appear to be breathing. Bok also comes up He starts putting good berries in Vorel's mouth and in Hope's mouth, and you see that they're unconscious, but they're breathing.
I look at him, and I know he doesn't speak much common, but I've heard Vorel say it, and I'll say, "Good, Bok Bok." And I'm gonna go over to Blort's body with my dagger ready and try to get my sword back.
You're gonna have to push his body over. It's still facing his underside. He's pinned underside. So we're gonna need a strength check to push him over.
All right. Be good. No, it's 8.
Okay, you go to try to push him, and you really like the sword, so you put all your effort into doing it, and your hands sink into its flesh, and all of a sudden your hands are stuck in his body, and it's just wet, gooey, and hot inside. And you pull your hands out, and there's this stringy red-pink blood cheese as you pull the hands out, and it's like, oh shit.
If I have to cut through the back to the front, I will. I'm gonna try to get that sword back.
Okay, all right. Roll a survival check to see how long it's going to take you to cut this body to get to where you need to.
10.
Okay. So it's not the easiest job in the world for you you're not even familiar with this thing's anatomy. It's not like, you've been hunting a few times in your history. You kind of know how to carve up a hyena or whatever, but this thing, you don't recognize at all. You're just hacking away. You find all kinds of weird tubes and weird, like, pieces of, like, what look like sponge, but it's wet and slappy, and you don't know what it is. You don't recognize what any of it is. Keep pulling bits and parts out. And finally, you see a little glint after 10 minutes. And there's your baby, Diplomacy, sitting in there.
All right, we're going to retrieve that and prestidigitate it because it has been on an adventure.
Yeah, all right. You clean all the pinky flesh blood off of it. It's nice and clean, but you're up to your elbows in flat, like, pink. It's almost like candle wax, but not solid. It's just all over you. It's pretty intense.
Well, that is the second thing that's going to need cleaning.
Can you only use that 3 times an hour, or is it really at will for the cleaning? I just wonder.
It's at will.
Okay.
Right. I can only have 3 active at the same time. If I were to create an effect for an hour, I can only have 3.
Oh, but it's not an effect. It's a one and done kind of deal, so you can keep doing it. Okay. All right.
I suppose I should also check on Tedna, make sure he's all right.
All right. As you lift your hand from your tasks, your head from your tasks of getting Diplomacy, sheath it. You look over quickly to Tedna and see he's also face down in the sandy, oily floor. And you notice something strange in your eyesight. There's this sort of bluish, naked human crawling out of the oil lake. With great not standing on his legs. Just sort of curled up fetus style and sort of see a hand come out and sort of pulling itself quietly, but you notice it in your view.
All right. If Tedna seems to... I'll grab Tedna. We'll drag him down to the others, at least so they're in the same spot. Maybe Bok Bok can give him a good berry. 4. I'm so not strong.
Yeah, you go to pull him. You go to pull him, and you're just like, he's heavier than he looks, and he's like a big sack of weight. You could drag him, but you might cut him up across a few stones or something like that.
That's fine.
All right, so you just grab him by the back of the shirt. You rip his shirt a bit as you're pulling them. You're like, I don't care. You just like toss him ungrateful or unceremoniously. You basically just dragged his face across the sand and piled him up with everyone else. And then you get a little closer and you see the blue body, very, very slender, very skinny, malnourished, but he's blue and it's glowing a bit. It's weird.
All right, I'm going to approach cautiously, but I'm going to approach and see. It looks different than the woman did, correct?
Yeah. I mean, you can't see. You only see the back and long hair. There's long, flowing white hair.
All right, I will approach and say, hello. See if I get a reaction.
The voice looks around. The head looks around and reveals an intensely elfin face. It's glowing blue. The ears, so distinctive on this one. Very long. Long features. Long limbs. Doesn't appear aged. Appears middle-aged for an elf, which is youthful looking. But glowing blue. Almost like ethereal or ghost-like. But still there's flakes of mud and oil as he's been dragging himself across the dirt. And the face looks up at you and speaks to you. Yiman orangantiga uramba isha uramba hinda.
Do I understand any of it?
It's not a language you recognize. It's if you had to guess what you've been hearing, might be a form of ancient Elven or something. I don't know. It's just strange. Perhaps it's confusing to you because it definitely sounds Elven, but you don't seem to understand it.
I'll try speaking back in Elvish and say, "I'm sorry, I don't understand."
The new tongue. You speak the new tongue. That's fine. How long have I been here?
Have to be honest, I'm not sure. I'm fairly new here as well. My comrades here were brought here against their will by that creature back there.
Yes,
and this woman.
And what is the portal closed? Did we do it? Did we win?
I'm sorry, I don't know what that means.
Quit wasting my time. I have been in here far too long. You must tell me, have we been victorious in the war? Have we won?
Which war?
The eternal war. The war against all those who are not elf. The war against all those who would commit elven resources and magic to fight their wars. There's only one truth in this world, and that is, flesh will rend before me. But you are an elf. You are of me. I need your help. I am weak. I've been in a hell of my own for I do not know how long, but I breathe the stinking air of this world they call Earth. I need your help. I need your help, elf. Your name. What is your name?
My name is Stanley Billings.
That's a strange name. And of what house are you?
I don't have a house.
Oh, you are a houseless one. You will serve me well.
I will not be serving anybody today.
You don't understand. There is much work to be done, and I need to regain my strength. You must help me. Do not waste my time with petty offenses at the language that I use. This is not elf behavior.
I don't know if you've noticed, friend, but I am not a full elf. I am a half-elf.
Well, perhaps it's you who is lacking an education. I am the Archfey, Diantalis. And I need your help. You are the only one who can help me. I must regain my strength.
Are you the prisoner the woman spoke of?
I was brought to this place, yes, but I am no prisoner. I am still strong of mind, and I will be strong of body again when I have had a chance to be rejuvenated in a font of what this world calls mana waves. He sort of looks up and he says, but I must I need your help. Do you have... He smells. So you are a strong source of this mana wave energy. But I bet you can bring me the amount that I need, which is more than one person. Stanley Billings, I offer you a choice. Will you aid me? In exchange for the aid, I will lend you my favor.
Well, forgive me for not immediately jumping at the favor of a fragile-looking soul that just crawled out of the muck. But what exactly is it that you think you can lend me?
Do you not know what an archfey is?
I can't say that I do.
You are poorly educated for an elf. I quite like you. Elves waste their time with bureaucracies and sacred rituals and traditions, when all that matters is the rending of flesh. The rending of flesh that no longer has business existing. I am Dian Talus, Archfey of Carnage, and they showered me with favor until the carnage became too much for them and their sensibilities, and they imprisoned me here. But I adhere to the...
old did this.
When you say elves of old, what does this mean?
You said I spoke with the new language. I'm assuming this was some time ago.
Well, the elven language. The elves were not the first in the Fae. The first in the Fae were the primordials. And then the Sentinels. Then the Archfey came, and together we created a fertile realm, and knew not of the horrors of the void. But then, as it came to pass... Well, it's a long tale. I'm not here for a history lesson. You don't know the history of your kind, but perhaps I can teach it to you.
And what am I going to have to give for such a lesson?
It's very simple. Help me gain my strength. Allow me to travel with you. And together we will find sources of powerful magical energy, which you will feed to me, but in turn, I will grant unto you. Until such time as I'm ready to be reborn again, and to return to this world to rend all of the flesh of the unworthy.
Yeah, friend, I think I've made enough deals with people who are looking to rend flesh. I was hoping, after I encountered these two particular wonders, that maybe you would be the kind of soul that would be a bit more amenable to this world, but maybe there's a reason they locked you up.
This world has much potential to it, but it has much to be excised of it as well. I will... What's the word I'm looking for? I will cull the weak, the outdated, that suckle at the teat of our resources and waste it, and bring true magic to this world and save it. We are elves. We could have done a lot more long ago. I assume things must have gone badly by the look on your face.
Clearly.
So what shall it be, then? Do you not wish my favor, the favor of an archfey? Are you so lost as an elf that you don't even know what an archfey is?
I don't. And I have enough deals made with questionable morals to make one with you.
I see this will not be easy.
And what exactly does that mean?
He reaches out a hand very suddenly. Crackling blue energy warps around his hand. If I cannot take you willingly, I will lead you to the glory of elfkind, kicking and screaming. And the glowing, crackling piece of blue energy fires out. And it starts to move around his hand. Can you make a charisma check? Saving throw.
Check.
Charisma saving throw.
Save. Hey, see, look, we're gonna get to use that charisma save today.
No, it was like it was foreshadowing.
Oh my god. 10. It's not.
You rolled
good.
a 3 and added 7 to get 10.
Yes.
The swirling piece of energy comes up as it turns into this ball of light, and the ball of light then like opens on the side and engulfs you, and you feel a sense of revelation, of heaven, of your mind opening to possibilities that you never would have thought possible. And this light douses you, and he slowly turns into light. He begins to glow, and then he turns into the light that was in his hands. And then your body just goes, your hands shoot out, and your legs shoot out, and your mouth like props open, and your hair blows back, and there's this, and it's like you're stuck in this position, and you feel the light enter you as your hands shake and your head quivers and your body convulses. And then the light disappears, your body goes limp, you fall to the ground on your knees. Bok Bok slowly peers around a corner and goes, you don't know what he's saying. You hear some stirring behind you as Varel and Hope begin to stir. And you're on your knees, panting. I think that's where we end it this week.
Oh my gosh!
That's the show,
man.
folks. That is the show. Well, at least you didn't get your teammates killed.
Hey, you know, it's something.
I thought you were going to. I didn't think you were going to attack. I thought we were going to parlay. That was pretty fun. All right. So I guess we should just leave it there, not talk too much about it, let you all at home wait to find out what happens next week with this business.
Oh man, they're gonna come back to such a weird situation.
Yeah, and hopefully, if you guys are listening to the show, it's better if it's a secret. But if you did, then you have to pretend like your characters don't know what's going on. So yeah. So thanks very much, Chatroom, for hanging out. For me, for John, for Scott, for Kyle, for Kristen. See you next time.
Bye, everybody.
You're listening to the Frog Pants Network. Find more shows like this at frogpants.com. That's a good question.
That's a good question.
There you go. There's your outro.